Picture this for a moment. You're at home by yourself. Maybe kicking back with a cup of coffee and your favorite evening show, or flipping through a book you've been meaning to finish. Everything feels normal, peaceful even. Then, out of nowhere, this heavy, crushing weight settles right on your chest, like someone's sitting there. Your left arm starts to tingle, then goes numb. You try to breathe, but it's coming in short. Scary gasps. That's a heart attack hitting, and there's no one around to call out to. No one to grab your hand. It happens to more than 380,000 Americans every single year. Folks, just like you facing it completely alone. But here's something that always gets me. A study from the European Heart Journal showed that if you know exactly what to do in those first 60 seconds, your chances of making it through skyrocket by 73%. On the flip side, 89% of people over 60 have no clue about the right steps when they're by themselves. They panic, they freeze, or they do things that actually make it worse. What if I told you there's one simple action that can give you survival odds almost as good as having a paramedic right there in your living room with you? And no, it's not reaching for aspirin. It's something backed by research straight out of Harvard Medical School. Hi there. I'm Dr. Hope. At 86 years young, I've been caring for seniors like you for nearly 50 years now, treating thousands of patients along the way, folks, dealing with everything from joint aches to heart scares. I've been in those exam rooms, holding hands through the tough moments. And I've seen what works when science meets real life. Let me tell you about Eleanor. She's 72. A widow, living on her own in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio. One ordinary evening, she was in her laundry room, folding clothes fresh from the dryer, humming along to an old tune on the radio. That's when the pain slammed into her chest. She dropped the basket, clutched her arm as it went numb, and slid to the floor, terrified she'd never see her grandkids again. Her mind raced. Should she try to yell for help? No one would hear. But Eleanor had done one small thing ahead of time. A prep step I'd shared with her during a checkup. It bought her the minute she needed, kept her conscious until help arrived. And today she's back to baking cookies for those grandkids and telling everyone she knows about it. What if those critical 8 to 12 minutes while you're waiting for emergency services could become your lifeline instead of your ending? That's exactly what we're covering today. 7 proven techniques from places like Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, and Harvard. You'll walk away with calm steps to stay in control and conscious. Easy home setups that protect your independence. And that deep peace of mind knowing you're safeguarding your heart and the family who loves you. Before we jump in, drop a comment below with your age and where you're watching from. I'm reading everyone and replying with tips tailored just for you. It'll help us connect and make this even more personal. All right? Let's build your survival plan, starting with the foundation that could make all the difference. Now let's talk about the very first building block in your survival plan, the one that seems so basic, but trust me, it's the foundation everything else rests on. What if, in the middle of a heart attack, confusion sweeps in like a fog in just 15 seconds flat, wiping your own address right out of your mind, or your fingers get shaky and you can't punch in those 3 little numbers for help? I've seen it happen more times than I care to count. And that's why this emergency contact system is where we start. It's not glamorous, but it could be the quiet hero that keeps you in the game. When a heart attack strikes, your brain starts losing oxygen, almost right away. That drop can bring on disorientation, muddled thinking, even a bit of temporary paralysis in how you move or speak. There's a study from the Journal of Emergency Medicine that looked at over 500 heart attack survivors aged 60 and up. And get this, 67% of them couldn't recall their own address when they finally got through to 911. It wasn't dementia or anything like that. It was simply the body's way of shutting down non-essentials to fight for survival. And the American Heart Association points out something else that keeps me up at night. 43% of those fatal heart attacks in seniors happen between 10 at night and 6 in the morning. when your phone is often plugged in across the room, out of reach, while you're drifting off to sleep. So, how do we outsmart that? It's all about setting things up when you're calm and clear-headed. So your future self doesn't have to think. Grab a bright-colored index card, something that catches the eye, like neon pink or yellow, and write down your full address, including any apartment number or unit. Add your phone number, too, and if you've got a gate code or special instructions for getting in, jot those down as well. Tape one of these cards right next to every phone in your house, the landline in the kitchen, the one by your bed, wherever. It's like leaving a breadcrumb trail for yourself. Next, make 911 your speed dial number 1 on every phone you own, including your cell. I know, we all think we can just dial it straight. But when adrenaline's pumping and your hands are trembling, hitting one button is a whole lot easier than 3 in the exact right order. Keep that cell phone charged up and within arm's reach at all times, especially overnight. Tuck it on your nightstand or even under your pillow if that's what it takes. And if you live alone, consider a medical alert device, the kind you wear like a necklace or bracelet. Go for the waterproof one. It might cost a tad more. But the National Institute on Aging found that 31% of seniors who have these aren't wearing them when trouble hits because they took it off for a shower or to sleep. Wear it proudly. Day and night, it's your silent guardian. Don't stop there. Though, loop in the people around you. If you've got trusted neighbors, let them know about any heart concerns you have. Hand over a spare key and ask them to keep an eye out if they hear something odd, or notice you haven't picked up the paper like usual. They can check in. In an apartment building, chat with the manager or the doorman. They're often the first line to guide paramedics right to your door. Let me share about Harold. It still warms my heart thinking about him. He was 78, a retired mechanic from a small town in Texas, living on his own after losing his wife a few years back. The house felt too quiet some days. But Harold kept busy tinkering in his garage. He came to see me for a routine checkup. And we talked about prepping for the what-ifs. I walked him through this exact system. And he took it to heart. No pun intended. He made those cards, programmed the speeds, got himself a waterproof alert, and even gave a key to his neighbor across the street. A nice fellow who'd wave every morning. One night, around midnight, the pain woke him up sharp, unrelenting. Spreading to his arm, Harold's mind started fogging over fast. He couldn't remember if his street was Elm or Oak, but muscle memory kicked in. He fumbled for the alert button around his neck and pressed it hard. The card by his bed caught his eye in the dim light, giving him the address to mumble to the dispatcher. His neighbor heard the alert company's call and was over in minutes, with the key, letting paramedics straight in without a second wasted. Harold pulled through. I spent a bit of time in the hospital getting sorted. And now he's back on the golf course every Tuesday with his buddies, swinging away, like nothing happened. He told me later, "Doctor, Hope, that little card saved my mind when my body was failing, and it gave me back my life." Folks, this is where your independence truly begins. Don't let a foggy moment steal the time you need. Set this up today, and you'll feel that quiet confidence knowing you're covered. It's like always keeping your car keys in the same spot for errands. Simple habits that make life smoother when things get rushed. One quick note, test the whole system once a month. Press that alert button to make sure it's live. Glance at your cards to keep them fresh. It's a small check that pays off big. With your contact system locked in and ready, you've got the lifeline set. Now, let's talk about how to buy yourself even more precious time with a surprising trick that uses nothing but your own breath. All right, with your emergency contact system in place, you've got that safety net ready to catch you. But now, let's move to something that can stretch those critical moments even further. A technique that might sound a little unusual at first, but it's like giving your heart a manual pump when it needs it most. Imagine a strong, deliberate cough, acting as your own built-in lifeline. keeping you alert and in the fight for an extra 92 seconds on average. That's not just talk, it's a real way to buy the time you need until help shows up. This is called cough CPR. And it's been a bit controversial over the years, but the latest research has cleared up exactly when and how it can make a difference. When your heart starts slipping into a dangerous, irregular rhythm, an arrhythmia, your blood flow can falter, especially to your brain. A forceful cough creates pressure, changes right in your chest, squeezing the heart and pushing blood along to keep you conscious. There's a study from Ping Union Medical College that followed 240 patients who'd been taught this method, and those who used it right at the start stayed awake and aware for those vital 92 seconds longer than folks who didn't. It's not a cure-all, but in the early chaos, it can be the bridge to getting that call out or grabbing your next tool. Here's how you do it. And it's simpler than it sounds. Practice it a few times when you're feeling fine, so it feels natural if the moment comes. At the very first twinge of symptoms, before things get too foggy, take the deepest breath you can manage, filling your lungs all the way down to your belly. Then, cough hard and deep, like you're trying to clear something stuck way down in your chest. It has to come from your diaphragm, that muscle right below your ribs, not just a little throat tickle. Repeat the cycle every 2 seconds. Deep breath in, forceful cough out. Keep that rhythm going steady, without pausing. Inside your body, each breath loads up on oxygen, and every cough acts like a mini compression, circulating that blood and keeping your brain online. The Cleveland Clinic experts say this shines brightest in those first 30 to 60 seconds after symptoms kick in. That's your golden window to dial for help, or press that alert button we talked about earlier. It's not about replacing professional care. Always get 911 on the line if you can, but it gives you the clarity to do so. Let me tell you about Betty. Her story always brings a smile because it shows how something so straightforward can feel like a superpower. She was 69. A grandma in sunny Florida who loved nothing more than baking pies for her church group. Lived alone in a cozy little condo, with photos of her grandkids all over the fridge. One afternoon, she was in the kitchen, rolling out dough for apple pie, when the pain hit sharp in her chest, radiating down her arm. Betty froze for a split second, but she'd heard me talk about this cough method during one of her visits. She remembered breathe deep, cough hard, so there she was, leaning on the counter, taking those big breaths and coughing with everything she had, one after another. While her free hand fumbled for the phone, it kept her head clear, her voice steady enough to tell the dispatcher what was happening. The coughs felt strange, almost like her body was fighting back on its own. But they worked. Paramedics burst in just as she was starting to fade, and Betty made it through with flying colors. These days, she's back to those pies, and she tells everyone. It was scary. Sure. But that cough felt like my heart had a backup plan. Empowering doesn't even cover it. Of course, a word of caution here. This is only for when you're still conscious and able to cough on your own. It's meant to hold the fort while waiting for emergency help. Never as a stand-in for calling 911 or using your alert system. And it won't help if the issue is a fully blocked artery. That's a different beast. Always lead with getting professional aid on the way. I truly believe practicing this in front of a mirror a couple times a week can turn what feels like fear into real control. It's your body. Your rhythm, own it. And it owns the moment for you. Hey, if you're finding these tips helpful already, maybe thinking about a loved one who needs to hear this, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It helps more seniors like you find this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, join us. We've got fresh senior health saves coming every day. From joint relief to better sleep. With the cough giving you those extra seconds to stay in the game, let's look at a everyday pill that can speed up your body's defense even faster, up to 50% quicker when you use it the right way. You've got that cough rhythm in your back pocket now, giving you those extra seconds to stay sharp and get help coming. But let's keep the momentum going with something most folks have right in their medicine cabinet. A simple aspirin that can jump into action and fight the problem at its source. absorbing up to 12 minutes faster when you do it just right. It's not about popping a pill and hoping. It's about making it work quicker and smarter for your body in that urgent moment. Aspirin steps in like a quiet mediator during a heart attack, which is often caused by a blood clot forming in one of your coronary arteries, blocking the flow to your heart muscle. What it does is make your blood less sticky, so the clot can't grow bigger, and might even let some blood sneak past the blockage. There's a big study in The Lancet that looked at over 17 null heart attack patients, and taking aspirin within the first hour cut the risk of dying by 23%. That's huge. But the real game changer is how you take it chewing it. Instead of swallowing whole, gets it into your system through the lining of your mouth, bypassing the stomach. Wait. From research out of the University of California, San Diego, chewed aspirin hits therapeutic levels in your blood in about 14 minutes on average, compared to 26 minutes if you just gulp it down. When every minute means more heart muscle saved, those 12 minutes can feel like a lifetime. The dose you're aiming for is 325 milligrams. That's 1 regular strength tablet or 4 of the low-dose baby aspirins. Chew it thoroughly, letting it break down completely. Yes, it'll taste bitter and chalky, but that's the sign it's doing its job fast. Keep these ready in multiple spots so you're never hunting your kitchen drawer, bathroom cabinet, nightstand, even your car glove box or wallet for when you're out and about. Check the expiration dates every 6 months and swap them out. Aspirin loses punch over time, especially if it's exposed to moisture. And if you're already on a daily low-dose aspirin for prevention, that's usually 81 milligrams. Don't skip the extra during an attack. Your body needs that full 325 to tackle the crisis head-on. I always think of Frank when I talk about this. His story sticks with me because it shows how a little habit can turn the tide. He was 75, a proud veteran from Michigan, living in a tidy ranch house with a big yard. He loved keeping neat. Widowed a decade earlier, Frank stayed active, mowing that lawn every Saturday morning like clockwork. Radio tuned to old classics. One warm summer day, he was halfway through the backyard when a tightness gripped his chest, squeezing harder with each push of the mower. He stopped, leaned on the handle, knowing something was seriously wrong, arm aching, breath short. But Frank had listened during our last appointment. He'd slipped a couple of regular aspirins into a small tin in his shirt pocket, right next to his handkerchief. He sat down on the porch step, chewed that tablet slow and deliberate, the bitterness flooding his mouth as he dialed 911 on his cell. The clot didn't get the chance to worsen. Blood started flowing better, buying him time, until the ambulance sirens filled the air. Frank spent some days in the hospital, got a stent to clear things up, and made a full recovery. Now he's back to that lawn, but with a riding mower his kids insisted on, and he laughs about it. Tasted awful. That aspirin, but worth every gritty chew. Gave me more Saturdays with the grandkids. A couple important notes to keep in mind. Skip the aspirin entirely if you're allergic to it. And if you're on blood thinners like warfarin, chat with your doctor first about your emergency plan. They might have a specific protocol. The Harvard Heart Letter emphasizes that mouth absorption is the key here. So even if it's coded, chew it up. No shortcuts. Treat stocking aspirin like your morning coffee. Make it an everyday essential. And it'll bring that heart peace you deserve, knowing you're prepared without overthinking it. With the aspirin working to thin things out and slow the threat, your next move is all about easing the strain on your body with a comfortable position that lets gravity lend a hand. With the aspirin kicking in to thin your blood and keep that clot from getting any worse, let's shift to something you can do with your own body to ease the load on your heart right then and there. Picture this. Just by adjusting how you sit or lie, you can keep your blood pressure steadier for up to 40% longer. That's straight from guidelines by the European Resuscitation Council. It's a gentle way to let gravity become your ally, reducing the strain and making every breath count more. When symptoms hit, your heart is already working overtime, pumping against whatever blockage or rhythm issue is going on. Lying flat on your back can actually make things tougher, because it hinders blood from returning easily to your heart. And it puts extra pressure on your lungs. But propping yourself up at about a 45-degree angle changes the game. Gravity helps pull blood back where it needs to go, lightens the workload on your heart muscle, and gives your diaphragm more room to expand, so breathing feels less like a battle. A study from Tokyo Medical University followed patients in this position during cardiac events and found they maintained 35% better oxygen levels in their blood compared to those who stayed standing or flat. It's not about fancy equipment, it's your body working smarter. Here's how to make it happen without overthinking. If you can, sit up against a wall or stack some pillows behind you on the couch, or bed aim for that half-sitting angle. Like you're relaxing in a recliner. Bend your knees a bit and keep your feet flat on the floor or surface. It stabilizes you and takes even more pressure off. If dizziness creeps in and you feel like you're about to faint, don't just collapse. Lower yourself slowly, using your arms or furniture for support if you can. Once down, roll onto your right side with your left knee bent up toward your chest for stability. This is the classic recovery position. It keeps your airway open, prevents choking if nausea hits, which it does in about a third of cases, and still supports circulation. While you're at it, loosen anything tight. Unbutton your collar. Undo your belt. Kick off restrictive shoes, or slip out of a scarf. Constricting clothes can pinch blood flow and make breathing harder. And open a window or turn on a fan if the room feels stuffy. Fresh air without chilling yourself helps everything flow better. Avoid bundling up in blankets even if you're sweating, which is common overheating, just revs your heart more. Maria's experience comes to mind every time I share this. She's one of those patients who makes the job feel worthwhile. At 71, a widow in California, she had turned her sunny living room into a little reading nook, stacked with mysteries and a cozy armchair by the window. One quiet afternoon, she was deep into a good book, tea cooling on the side table, when the chest pain started dull at first, then building like a vice. Her arm went heavy, breath shallow. Maria lived alone, but she'd paid attention during our talks about positioning. She eased back into the couch cushions, propping pillows to lift her upper body just right. Knees bent, feet planted, loosened her blouse buttons, cracked the window for that breeze. It wasn't comfortable, but suddenly the crushing feeling lightened a touch. She could draw deeper breaths. I think clearer. She reached for her phone, already set up from our earlier tips, and got through to 911 without her voice giving out. Paramedics found her steady enough to guide them on what she'd done. Maria spent a short stint in the hospital, got the care she needed. And now, she's back to those books. Even hosting a little neighborhood book club. She says, "It felt less like the world was closing in, gave me the strength to hold on until help came." Steer clear of lying completely flat unless you're losing consciousness. It pools blood and fluids in ways that worsen the return to your heart. This position is as straightforward as tweaking your favorite recliner for a nap. It preserves your fight without asking for heroics. Once you're settled in that supportive spot, the next layer is calming the storm inside with a breathing pattern that quiets panic and feeds your heart what it craves most. With your body propped in that supportive cardiac position, easing the physical load, let's layer on something that tackles the panic head-on, because when fear takes over, those quick, shallow breaths can actually rob your heart of the oxygen it desperately needs. But a simple controlled pattern can cut heart muscle damage by up to 45%. According to a Stanford University study, it's like hitting the reset on your body's stress response, turning chaos into calm with every inhale and exhale. The trouble starts when panic kicks in. Your instinct is to gasp rapidly, chest heaving. But that hyperventilation does more harm than good. It drops carbon dioxide level too low, which can cause your coronary arteries to spasm and tighten, worsening the blockage or strain. Your heart ends up working harder for less payoff. And dizziness or confusion creeps in faster. I've seen it in so many patients, their eyes wide, breathing like they've run a marathon. When slowing it down, could have given them clarity and strength? The technique is straightforward and powerful. It's called 4-4-6 diaphragmatic breathing, and once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. Start by breathing in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, letting your belly expand outward like you're filling a balloon down low, not lifting your chest high. Place one hand on your belly and one on your chest. To guide you, the belly hand should move more. Then hold that breath gently for another count of 4. No straining. Finally, exhale through pursed lips for a full count of 6. As if you're blowing out candles on a birthday cake, but in slow motion. The longer exhale is the magic part. It signals your nervous system to shift from fight or flight into rest and repair mode. What happens inside is beautiful. Your lungs get a complete air exchange. Maximizing oxygen pickup. The Mayo Clinic notes, this can lower your heart rate by 10 to 15 beats per minute, easing demand on the muscle. It also promotes vasodilation, relaxing and widening blood vessels, so flow improves without extra effort, and those potential spasms in the arteries, they ease up, giving your heart a better shot at hanging in there. Tom's story always reminds me why this matters so much on a personal level. He was 67, an avid hiker from Arizona, living solo in a desert view home after retiring from teaching. He kept fit with daily walks. But one lazy Sunday afternoon, he dozed off in his recliner after a morning trail, woke to chest pain radiating everywhere, sweat beading, world spinning. Tom was alone. Phone across the room. But he'd practiced this breathing after I suggested it for his occasional anxiety. He stayed in the chair, hand on belly, and started in through the nose for 4. Hold 4. Out through pursed lips for 6. Over and over. The dizziness that was closing in backed off. His mind cleared enough to shuffle to the phone and call for help. Paramedics said his vitals were steadier than expected for how bad it was. Tom got through surgery, recovered, strong, and now he hikes with a group. Says that breathing calmed the storm raging inside me, like the desert wind dying down. The key to making this your go-to in a crisis is practice set aside just 5 minutes a day when you're relaxed. Maybe morning coffee or before bed? The American Journal of Cardiology found that folks who did this simple routine were successful using it during an actual event 78% of the time, versus only 12% for those trying it cold. Count out loud if it helps keep rhythm. Especially if you're on the line with 911, it reassures the dispatcher you're still with them. I see this breathing like a quiet prayer. It grounds your body and soul, reminding you that even in the scariest moment, you have control over the basics. It's a gift you give yourself daily that pays back when you need it most. With your breath steady and your heart less burdened, the next step is ensuring help can actually reach you without losing precious minutes to a locked door. With your breathing steady and your position giving your heart that much-needed break, we've covered a lot of ground to keep you in control from the inside out. But now, let's talk about the outside, making sure help can get to you without a single wasted minute. Because a locked door can turn those crucial moments into a nightmare. Imagine paramedics at your doorstep. Sirens blaring. But they can't get in. It happens far too often, delaying care by an average of 11 minutes and contributing to 34% of cardiac deaths in seniors who could have been saved. A study from the Journal of Emergency Medical Services reviewed over 500 cardiac calls, and the numbers don't lie. Locked doors, forgotten keys, or confusion about entry points steal time. Your heart simply can't afford. When symptoms start, you might have only 3 to 5 minutes before strength fades, and getting up to let someone in becomes impossible. That's why this step is about acting first. Thinking later, turn your home into a welcome mat for rescue. The moment you feel that first warning sign, before doing anything else, head straight to your front door if you can, and unlock it. Leave it slightly ajar if it's safe in your neighborhood. Even cracking it open shaves off barriers. For extra security without the risk, install a key lockbox outside your door, the kind with a combination code, and call your local fire department on their non-emergency line today to register the code with them. They keep it on file. So in an emergency, Crews grab the key and are inside in seconds. Flip on every light in the house as you pass switches. A fully lit home stands out like a beacon at night and guides responders right to you during the day. Hang something bright and noticeable from your doorknob or window, a red towel, a colorful scarf. Anything that screams help needed here? If you live in an apartment or condo, after calling 911, dial your building's front desk or security right away. They can meet the ambulance in the lobby and escort them up. Cutting response time in high rises. Tape a simple information sheet to the inside of your front door at eye level. Your name, key medications, allergies. Any conditions like diabetes or previous heart issues, keep a whistle on your keychain or nightstand. Even if words fail, a sharp blow alerts neighbors or responders. And if your budget allows, consider a smart lock that links to your phone. It can auto-unlock when you dial 911 or through an app your family has access to. Lillian's tale is one that always tugs at me, showing how these small preps weave into a lifeline. She was 74, living in a bustling New York City apartment building. A retired nurse herself, who knew the ropes, but still got caught off guard. Her days were filled with crossword puzzles and calls to her daughter in Brooklyn. One evening, while watering plants on her balcony, the pain struck chest tight. Nausea rolling in. Lillian was alone, but she'd set up her system after a chat with me. Lockbox registered, info sheet posted. Whistle handy. As soon as the symptoms hit, she shuffled to the door, unlocked it wide, propped it with a shoe, and called the front desk while hitting 911, turned on the hall light, hung her bright yellow kitchen towel outside. Security met the paramedics, key from the box in hand, and they were at her side in under 4 minutes flat. Lillian recovered well, spent a week in the hospital getting a bypass, and now she's back to those puzzles. Volunteering at the building's senior coffee hour. She puts it simply, that open door wasn't just entry, it was hope walking in. Research from the University of Pennsylvania backs this up. Patients who unlocked as their very first action had 47% better survival rates because treatment started sooner. It's proactive without being complicated. Do this prep today, and your home shifts from a potential trap to a true haven, ready to embrace the help you deserve. With access wide open and signals clear, we're down to the number one tip. The one that can give you outcomes almost like a paramedic is already by your side. And now we come to the one I've been building toward the absolute number one technique that Harvard Medical School researchers say can give you survival rates, nearly matching having a trained paramedic right there in the room with you. It can reduce heart muscle damage by up to 50%. According to a massive review in the British Medical Journal, this is your emergency brake. And if your doctor agrees, you're a candidate. It's something to have prescribed and ready today. Nitroglycerin works fast because it relaxes and widens your blood vessels almost instantly, taking pressure off your heart and improving flow even around a partial blockage. If the attack isn't from a complete shutdown, it can literally halt things in their tracks, buying you the time all these other steps are designed for. But like everything we've covered, the power is in using it correctly from the very first moment. If you have risk factors being over 60, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, family history, talk to your physician about a prescription for sublingual nitroglycerin tablets. They're small, potent, and meant to dissolve under your tongue. At the onset of symptoms, sit down first, never take it standing, because the sudden drop in blood pressure can make you faint. Place one tablet under your tongue, don't swallow or chew, and let it dissolve fully, usually in 20 to 30 seconds. You'll feel a slight tingle or burn. That's normal. It's working. Set a timer for 5 minutes. If the pain hasn't eased significantly, take a second. Another 5 minutes. And if still needed, a third, but never more than 3 in a 15-minute window. Storage is critical because nitroglycerin loses strength when exposed to air, light, or heat. Keep it in the original amber glass bottle, tightly closed. Stash bottles in multiple easy access spots. Nightstand, kitchen counter, living room drawer, even your car, but not the glove box in summer heat. Write the open date on the label and replace every 6 months, even if unused. A fresh tablet should cause that telltale head ting or mild headache. If not, it's time for a new supply. George is the perfect example of why this tops the list. He's 80, a lifelong farmer from rural Iowa, still tending a small plot of land alone after his wife passed. Mornings were his ritual coffee on the porch, checking the fields. One dawn, while feeding the chickens, the pain slammed in chest like a vice. Sweat pouring. George had his nitro bottle clipped to his overalls pocket. Prescribed after a minor scare the year before, he dropped to a hay bale, sat steady, slipped the tablet under his tongue. Within minutes, the grip loosened. He could breathe. I think. Call 911. The clot eased just enough for the ambulance ride to be smooth. Doctors said the early nitro likely saved half his heart muscle. George recovered. Sold most of the land, but kept a garden. And now bounces his great-grandbabies on his knee. Stopped that attack cold. He grins. Gave me years. I thought were gone. A few vital cautions if you take erectile dysfunction meds like Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra. Do not use nitroglycerin within 24 to 48 hours. The combo can crash your blood pressure dangerously. And always pair it with the chewed aspirin we talked about earlier. Johns Hopkins data shows the two together boost survival 58% over either alone. Keep a wallet card listing all your meds for paramedics. Get this prescribed. Now it's your heart's emergency brake. A small bottle holding big peace of mind. These 7 steps, your contact system, cough, aspirin, position, breathing, open door, and nitroglycerin bridge, that 8 to 12 minute gap until pros arrive, turning fear into fought for time. We've walked through these 7 steps together, your emergency contact system to summon help without a second's confusion. The cough to keep you conscious. Chewing aspirin to fight the clot. The cardiac position to ease the strain. Controlled breathing to calm the storm. Unlocking the door with signals blazing. And nitroglycerin as your powerhouse to dilate and protect. Each one is a thread in a lifeline. Weaving those vital 8 to 12 minutes until paramedics take over. Turning what could be an ending into a fighting chance. Think back to Eleanor. Folding laundry when the world tilted. Yet one prep step pulled her through to grandkid hugs again. Or Harold, pressing his alert in the night fog, now swinging golf clubs with ease. Their stories aren't exceptions. They're what happens when preparation meets courage. You're not facing this alone. This knowledge wraps around you like a steady arm, empowering the independence you've earned and the family moments you cherish. Start small today. Practice that 4-4-6 breathing for 5 quiet minutes. Check your aspirin and nitro supplies. Tape up those address cards. Share this with a loved one over coffee. It might just be the conversation that saves a tomorrow. If these tips have lit a spark of confidence in you, print out the steps and post them where you'll see them. Bedroom mirror. Fridge door. Hit like if you're feeling empowered, and drop your story in the comments, along with your age and where you're watching from. I'll reply with advice just for you. Subscribe now for daily gentle guides on joints, sleep, memory, and more. Your heart will thank you for it. At 86, I live every bit of this rising each morning with purpose. Knowing a little wisdom goes a long way. Stay strong. Dear friends, you've got this. And brighter days are ahead.